Hi there, and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how you can take a point cloud that is coming straight from a laser scanner and how you then process that in Trimble's Realworks software so that you can use it afterwards in SketchUp. Now, this step isn't absolutely necessary. It depends on where you get your point cloud file from, because you may have contracted somebody to measure and create that point cloud file for you, and at that point they would deliver it to you in a usable format that you can open right in SketchUp Scan Essentials. But if you don't have that, if you have your own scanner and you process in Realworks, then this is the workflow that you would be using. All right, more on that in a second. Don't forget to check out my book Architectural Design with SketchUp. It covers all of these topics and makes for a great desk reference. You can find it where books are sold. There's also a link to it on my site sketchupfordesign.com, together with lots of additional tutorials and news. Okay, let's take a look at Realworks, Trimble Realworks, which is the processing software for Trimble scanners. And if you are using a different scanner, then of course you may have a different processing software, but you can also open any kind of a file with this software. So this is a very powerful software, and I am just skimming the surface right here, right now. And but what I want to show you is that you can take a scan from a scanner, and in my case it's one with 2 stations, and then register it in here, and then classify it, and then prepare it so that you can open it in SketchUp and then work with it and model right in SketchUp, basically. Okay, let's open a file. If I go to my folder here, I have an unprocessed file that is a project, came straight from the scanner. It looks like this, basically. There's a process file, project file, and a project folder, and I'm going to open those. And once I have that, then I can see in here, this is already partly processed, that I have my 2 stations, station 1, station 2, and those need to be stitched together, similar to when you are stitching panoramic photos together. It'll try to find, common points, common areas, and match them as good as it can, and actually gets it pretty well matched, as long as it's indoors. Outdoors, where you don't have as many similar planes that it can find automatically, it gets a little harder, and you may actually have to do some manual correction. And this is where this software here is really useful. But again, you may not be the one doing all of this. You may actually be just consuming a point cloud that somebody else produced for you. But I want to show you just really quickly the process in Realworks right here. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is we got to be in registration mode. There's 2, registration and production. And then if I go over to registration, you see here there's a whole lot of tools that you can use. I'm going to use the auto register using planes tool, and we're going to just ignore this little error. And then it comes up like this here. And you can see we have both our stations in there. We get a little preview of those, and it will look for planes in this model and then match those 2. So this of course can be quite an involved process if you have a lot of stations, and you may want to do this in parts, but nevertheless this is how it works, and I'm going to just show it to you with 2 stations. You always want to generate a preview scan, and then I'm going to click on Start and let it crank away. And then you can see the progress down here on the bottom. Within a few seconds, hopefully, or minutes, if it takes a while, you will get this finished. And then once it's done, we have our auto-registered model right here, or basically point cloud right here. And then on the right, you can see how well we did. So typically there will be some kind of an error, because there's an error with everything. And you can read it out right here. I have, less than 2 millimeters error. I'm okay with that right now. My point cloud is consists of preview point cloud. So you know, for production, you may need something different. But in any case, I'm happy with what I got now. I'm just going to close it. And then in here, you're going to be able to see your point cloud. And you can preview it right here. There's a bunch of viewing tools just to the left here, as in, you know, thickness of points and how it gets rendered and so on and so forth. We'll encounter this same set of tools in SketchUp. And so for now, actually, we don't really have to do anything right here. But you'll see my preview. You'll see the two stations right in there. And I could actually now refine a point cloud right in here. For example, there's a bunch of ghost points that came in through reflections. And a clean point cloud, you would want to remove those. So yeah, anyways. So that's the registration part in a very, very small nutshell. And then if I go over to production, I can work with this point cloud now. And I have it right here. And you see down there that there's one main point cloud. I can turn it on and I see my cloud right here. That's everything. And I do get the number of points right there. Nice big number as always. But anyways, that's just the plain point cloud. At this point, what you may want to do is you may want to classify this cloud, and it again depends on what it is you're doing. If you're doing indoors, there's an indoor auto classify tool. If you're doing outdoors, there's an outdoor tool. Let me show you the outdoor options first, which of course don't apply here, but you can see that you can then auto classify the ground, building, you know, all of these things, which is great because then later on you can you know, filter these in or out of your model as needed. I'm going to do the indoor classification right here. And then you can automatically extract floor, graded floor, which I don't have, so I'm going to uncheck that. Ceiling, walls, and remaining. Remaining is often the furniture, maybe some people that are walking through, that sort of stuff. And this way I can you know, process my entire point cloud automatically into smaller point clouds that I can then recall when I'm working with this in SketchUp. Again, this is going to crank away. You'll see it down here. And once it's done, you'll see under my point cloud on the left here, all of these various subclouds. And here we are. Okay, so now you see there's still my main point cloud. But now that one's turned off, or you can turn things on and off like this here, and I can turn, for example, the ceiling off, I can turn the walls off, I can turn remaining off. Oops. And I'm left with the floor. If that's all I wanted to work with, then that's a great way to recall things. And you see here, of course, that there's different numbers of points that belong to each one of these, and they're all classified now. But you always still have the main point cloud as well that you can work with. All right, so then you would just file, save this either as a Realworks file, or you export it as a file that works in any kind of point cloud software. There's a few file formats for that. But yeah, that's the processing in a nutshell. And again, as you can see up here, there's all kinds of other tools. You can actually, within here, draw as well and export geometry. But we're going to use SketchUp for that, so we don't really need to do that right here.